Shalom, this is Apoya Green. I am the artistic director for the artisticministry.net, and I know that it's been a while since I've done a video. And for those of you who saw my video this morning, you were not hallucinating, okay? And it was no trick done by any perpetrators. I put it up, but then I took it down because I looked at it and I saw that there was some fluctuating going on with the lights, and I did it in a room that had like an overhead fluorescent light in it. So I didn't like it, and I didn't like the title cards and such. So I decided to do it over. So I took it down. But by the time I took it down, I noticed that there were a few people who had already seen it. So if you did come back to it and it was gone, it wasn't an hallucination, and it wasn't anything done by any perpetrators. I just took it down. But basically, what I had talked about is that I had an opportunity to see a video by a woman who is involved in the organized Christian church, and she was talking about, it was a prophetic dream that she had, and she was talking about seeing a lot of persecution and just murder, the death of a lot of Christians being killed, and it was disturbing. You know, she spoke of seeing a man in a red, white, and blue clothing. I think it was. I'm gonna put the link to the video so that you can check it out for yourself. But I'm paraphrasing, so I could be backwards in this. It was either the horse was red, white, and blue, or the individual, the man on the horse, was wearing red, white, and blue. But she heard the voice, I think it was of the Most High, telling him to go out and to cry like a warning. And she saw the church members of the church, when they would leave the church, that they were stabbed, and they were stabbed with spears, bloody spears, and stabbed in the same way that the Messiah was killed. And it was really, some of what she described was disturbing, but she also shared that she heard the voice of the Most High telling her that this is things that are going to start to be happening across the world, that it is his judgment, that it is his vengeance being, meted out upon the earth, and that he's going to start a lot of his vengeance and punishment amongst his own people in his own house, which would be the church. And at the time when I was listening to that, I felt this feeling of like, good, it's about time. And that kind of caught me off guard, because I've done a lot of recovery and have let go of a lot of the bitterness and resentment that I have had towards the organized Christian church. And I make that distinction because I am a believer I am a messianic believer, a messianic targeted individual, a messianic T.I.s, say it however you want to, a messianic Hebrew Israelite. I definitely have a testimony in the Messiah. I know that he was sent by the Most High, that he was the Son of the Most High, that the world calls him Jesus Christ, but that's a pagan name that has been accepted for centuries. And hey, I'm okay. His name is Yahushua. Is it okay if I call him that? Okay. But I have a testimony of him, and I wouldn't be here today if it was not for that belief and the strength that it gives me. But I make that distinction. I'm not a part of that organized Christian church, and as a TI, being a responsible targeted individual and wanting to endure this and go through this fiery trial, which is what we deal with as being targets in our communities, what we deal with being gang-stalked. It is what the Apostle Kepha, a lot of the Christians call him the Apostle Peter, but he spoke of what he called a fiery trial. And I believe, many of us believe that fiery trial, that it is gang stalking. And we know that gang stalking are being targeted, or witch stalking, organized harassment, community harassment. It goes by so many different names, adult bullying. But basically it's nothing new. It's been around since the flood. And we know that there were individuals, prophets, in their history. Their record is in the Holy Scriptures. We know that they were subjected to this. They were subjected to various forms, various tactics of gang stalking, and up into and including the Messiah himself was a victim of it. And in the podcast this last podcast that I did called This Fiery Trial, that's something that I did look at that. If you're interested, go back through that. Definitely I'd say the last probably 20 or 30 episodes of it, definitely, where we're talking about that. And we're still dealing with it. But my point is that for those of us who have a belief, who have a faith in the Most High, who have a faith in the Word of the Most High, knowing that it is alive, knowing that it is in the realm of the Spirit, it is a sword. There is fire, there is power in this. We have a faith in it which has helped us to endure what it is that we're going through. And part of that responsibility is we have to look at how we ended up in this position. What is it that we were doing in our lives that brought this about on us? Who were the people we were associated with? Or who were our families? What family lines do we come from? Because some of this is intergenerational. And it's something that it didn't matter what we did, who we hung around with, what lifestyle, what habits we had. This was something that was already happening, and we, in a way, the word would be we inherited it. And so for me, looking back through my life, just in order to get an understanding, in order to do some healing, in order to do some correcting, some repentance, in order to just balance things out, looking literally without fear, without shame, at my life, and looking at where I came from, the paths that I walked down, who it was that I was walking with, who it was I was associating with that would do this to me, that would put my name, as David says, before the counsel of the wicked, who would put my name on a quote unquote blacklist to get me targeted. Who were these people? What was I doing? Did I do something to them? How did it happen? So forth and so on. But these are the things that we have to, if we want to honestly be able to deal with this, to get reconciliation, to just deal with it, to just be responsible. We have to look at our part in it. And so for me, what that meant was looking back at my life and being born in the church. The first 6-7 years of my life, I was in the Black organized church, Church of God in Christ, also in the Pentecostal church, and the things that happened to us. And I know for a lot of people, the church is a refuge. The church it becomes that pillar in the community where they socialize, where they meet their spouses, where depending on the networking that they do, this gets them scholarships to schools, gets them job opportunities. But for some of us, it is not. And that was my experience. It was not. We were not, my family, we were not given that type of treatment. It was not rolled out for us. And looking at the reasons why, and just the socioeconomic discrepancies, and who's being treated better because of this, and who's not being treated better, and why. These were the experiences that we had, and we went to, again, from one church to another church, and then it was just really. There were individuals there who were not, it was not a good experience. And these are some of these individuals who basically definitely put my name on lists, and some of the gang stalking and stuff that I dealt with was going on back then. And so there was a time in my life when I would say, well, my gang stalking, it didn't start until after I broke up with this boyfriend of mine. That was, in all honesty, the truth of the matter is that's when I became aware of it. Consciously aware that it was happening. But sitting back, looking realistically at my life, and now with the understanding that I have about gang stalking, targeting, I look back and I realize, no, this was going on as a youth. I was dealing with certain aspects of this. This is what my mother was dealing with. This is why we didn't go back to this church. This is why we started going to this church, but ended up leaving this church. Some of this was targeting. Some of this was gang stalking. There is a verse in the New Testament where Jude speaks about certain types of men. It says, this is verse 4, for there are certain men crept in unawares, who were before of old ordained to this condemnation, ungodly men turning the grace of our Elohim into lasciviousness and denying the only Most High, the only Almighty, and our Master Yahushua HaMashiach. These individuals who creep in unawares, they take advantage of the kind-heartedness, they take advantage of the naivety of Christians, and they get into positions of influence and power, and they begin to corrupt from the inside. There's another book that I've been reading, working my way through. It's called He Came to Set the Captives Free, Rebecca Brown. And she speaks about witches literally going into, getting involved, insinuating themselves into Christian churches with the primary agenda of destroying that church. And she explains that how they would do that. They would come in with money, they would come in and get into positions, they would, make the best donations, they would be so unassuming and so kind, and then get in these positions, and then slowly, subtly, they corrupt it. They bring it down. They destroy the power of prayer. They destroy, just anything that is contrary to their satanic agenda, or that will be a threat to their satanic agenda. They destroy it. She talks about that. And that was, I know for me and for a lot of different T.I.s, that is what was happening in those churches, the organized Christian church. And so when this sister was talking about this, having this prophetic dream and hearing the voice of the Most High say that his punishment is coming to the earth, that it is happening, and that he's going to start doing it, he's going to start judging and punishing in his own house first. There was a part of me again that was like, good, it's about time. And at first I was kind of like, a bit taken aback that I would have that reaction. But then looking back at my life and experiences that I had in organized churches, and as a child growing up, and then even into my teenage years, adult years, just some of the things that were happening, the different scandals, just the discrepancies, just the hypocrisy, just some of the ideologies and the practices and the attitudes from a people who are supposed to be a refuge, who are supposed to be that pasture, that flock. And knowing now that one of the reasons why there was the discrepancies, one of the reasons why there was the division, the witch-stalking tactics, the gang-stalking tactics that were happening there towards people who would question, who would make waves, who were maybe not as affluent and not able to pay a full tithe all the time, or who questioned paying tithing. These people, why they were given the cold shoulder, why they weren't given help when they needed a little money to help make it through the rest of the month. But so-and-so who has all this money, you're able to help him out and give him a recommend, or give him a reference to help get another car. Or why is all that happening? Because some of these different witches, some of these different people, as Jude said, that these men who were ordained of old for this condemnation came in purposefully creating these problems, purposefully destroying these families, getting these individuals to have extramarital affairs, getting these young women to get involved in fornication, getting these young men involved in sexual scandals, doing all of these things on purpose, and then hiding and covering it up, having these lies and threatening and coercing and intimidating people that they can't leave. And this is what you don't want to leave, okay, the gospel is true, it's just the people we have problems, and you leave, you judge, and the Most High is going to judge you, and people not wanting to stand up to that, because this is the only source of community that they have for a lot of people. This is where they find a place where they get accepted and they can get some help and support. They stay there, and there are problems that happen, but they don't want to question it. They don't want any problems. They've seen what have happened to other people who have questioned. So, and that works as a tactic as to keep them quiet. They become sheeple. They become Kool-Aid drinking sheeple. Kool-Aid. And again, that phrase, I'm going to share this I had a chance, an opportunity to. I knew someone who was involved. Her family was part of that Jim Jones, that what we call that cult. A lot of that began here in it was in Oakland, California, and her grandfather was a part of that. And she told me about how they would literally that ritual. They would just how in a lot of Christian churches how they take the communion, which is like a cup of grape juice, or depending on water or whatever. But how they in a lot of Christian churches they do it every Sunday or every other Sunday or the first Sunday of the month or something. But she was saying how they would do that. Her father would have them sit around the table at a certain time, and they would have Kool-Aid, and they knew that there was going to be one time when they have it, that it's going to have cyanide in it, that they were going to willingly drink this cyanide and willingly lay down their lives in support of these doctrines and this belief system and this man that they were following. And they would literally sit there at a certain time, and when the clock struck 10 or whatever, everybody would drink the Kool-Aid, knowing that this is the possibility that I'm going to die, and they would drink this. And so that's where that expression drinking the Kool-Aid, where that comes from. Literally, this is what they did. But so you have these people that have that mindset, that are in those churches. They stay there willingly because they don't know how to get out. They don't know that they can get out. And the Most High said that He is going to start judging. This woman had this prophetic dream that there's going to be persecution, even death and the killing of Christians. And she, in this dream, the Most High was saying that this is going to, that it's punishment from Him because of just the things that they've been doing. She shared how in the dream she also saw a very well-known one of these ministers, these leaders of one of these mega churches. She said it was very well known. She didn't say his name, but that he was someone who the Most High showed her he is someone who is leading these people astray. And we're talking people that upwards of thousands of people in different chapters, different branches across the country and across the world, leading them all astray. And so this attitude of good, maybe, some of the good that can come from that is that some of these people will be able to get out of there. Maybe this is what it takes. When the house is on fire, when the barn is on fire, some of the animals flee. And we know there is a phenomenon where some of the animals, when the barn is on fire and you open the doors and you hit the sides of the walls and you get them to run out, to escape from the flames, some of them, because they're so confused, because they're so just agitated and scared, they don't move very far from the barn, or some of them, it's been instances when just out of confusion and shock they run right back into the burning barn. But looking at for myself as someone who grew up in the church, who was able to leave and still has a testimony, and who is still covered by the grace of the Most High, and has a conviction and a knowledge now and an understanding of strongholds, and knowing that that's really what's going on. These are strongholds. These people are caught under the delusion and the illusion of strongholds. These doctrines, these principles, these individuals, these are strongholds. And being one of the things that we can do, those targeted individuals like myself who have left those churches, but who still have testimonies, who have tools, who have knowledge, we have weapons that have helped us to break those strongholds, to break those traditions, and still stay in the favor of the Most High. We can help them out because they're going to need that. So I've decided that what I'm going to do is I'm going to start this new podcast, and it's going to be called For the Pulling Down of Strongholds. And it's for Messianic T.I.s, giving the information as to what I believe some of the more powerful strongholds that are keeping our family members, neighbors, co-workers, just individuals that we know just in passing, but we know that they go to this church, and we can tell what's going on in some of these churches, and yet they are up in there every 2-3 times a week, giving these people their money, laying the money down, and then the scandal happens and everybody's upset, and then after a couple of months things settle back down and they're back up in there again. But maybe we can help them out. And so that's really what this is. It's I'm calling it For the Pulling Down of Strongholds, and I'm going to start it in the next couple of weeks. And one of the just looking at these people and some of the things that they do, and these witches, how they get in there. Again, as it said, they were ordained to this, of old, to do this. They crept in unawares, and we see them, the innocent sheeple who don't know, who are drinking the Kool-Aid, who are complicit with this. They see simply the usher. They see simply the piano player. They see the Sunday school teacher. They don't see behind the mask. But some of us, we know now what to look for, and we can see it, but they can't. And why is it some of these people are doing this? Why do they do some of the things that they do? Why are perpetrators able to come up in those churches and do the things that they do? Why is what type of person becomes a perpetrator, becomes a witch stalker? Who are these people? I just want to show this. This is a for the ministry. This is a postcard that I did, and I've also got it on my t-shirt here. Let me see if I can show you this here. This is, I don't know if you can see that, but hurt people hurt people, and what we need to stop the cycle, and we need to practice forgiveness. And that's something, again, some t-shirts and stuff, but this is it on a postcard. Let's see if you can see that there. Okay, and so yeah, it's there you go. So just within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to start doing those the first 1 or 2 episodes for the pulling down of strongholds, and it's going to be for Messianic T.I.s, to looking at least 1 or 2 of what I believe are some of the strongest strongholds that are keeping our families, our loved ones, even just people that we know in passing, still up in those churches. I hope that you're able to watch them, and please leave comments. Let me know in this video, what do you think are some of the strongholds that are keeping some of these unsuspecting, unawares Christians, that are keeping them in these churches, that are soon to be dealing with some heavy artillery from the Most High? What do you think some of those strongholds are? Okay, be sure and leave comments down leave your comment down in the section below, and give a thumbs up to this video. And okay, with that, I say shalom.